Father is my hope, the Son is my refuge, the Holy Spirit is my protection. Holy Trinity, glory to you. So on this rainy day of days, I have another little friend. We have lots of little friends around here, don't we?
Can I bring...
Do you know what kind of bird this is?
Mm-hmm.
What kind is it?
A cardinal.
A cardinal. And how do we know he's a cardinal?
Because he's red and black.
Because he's red and black. That's right.
Cardinals are red and black.
And so you may be seeing, if you're bird watching with us, you may be seeing cardinals in your yard. Now, the funny thing about cardinals, Ella,
Are there cardinals in our yard?
There are. Are all cardinals this beautiful bright red color?
No.
Wait a minute. Who isn't the beautiful red color?
The females.
Why wouldn't the female be a beautiful red color?
So that it blends in with the nest and the predators can't get at the eggs.
That is so clever. So clever. Oftentimes you maybe notice that there are brightly colored birds, and then there are not so brightly colored birds. And those are usually the females so that they can keep their babies safe. Today we are going to be reading Alyosha's Apple. Long ago, there was a very small cottage in a far distant village. And in that little cottage lived a brother and a sister who cared for her brother, Alyosha by name, who stayed in his bed, for alas, he was lame. So starts the story of two children's prayers. For morning, noon, and night they prayed. With Tanya kneeling, Alyosha in bed, together their prayers were faithfully said. Only one prayer prayed Tanya alone. From morning's light when the church bells pealed to evening's dark when the door was sealed, continued Tanya silently. Please, Mother of God, may my brother be healed. So it came to pass on one cool night, quite near the end of summer, when her prayers were said, Tanya made her bed on the warmth of the big stone oven. As the darkness grew deep, she fell fast asleep. But before too long, she sensed a song. She heard a bird, or so it seemed in her dream. And then from the bird, an angel appeared. So we're going to let you hold on to the bird. And out of the song, words were heard. The angel said, have no fear. I bring you a message, so listen and hear. When you awake by the dawn's dim light, slip out of the village in the fading light. Follow the paths to the forest, run. Hurry along in the rising sun. And there as a bird I will come to meet you. There as a bird I will wait to greet you. All I can tell you is your prayers have been heard. Remember, remember, follow the bird. It still seemed that she dreamed as the night turned gray with the dawning of day. And there's the cardinal. There he is right there. Yep, there he is.
Mom, the cardinal and the bluebird.
And the bluebird, or maybe a blue jay, it looks like him.
It's a blue jay.
And she slipped away through the mist and the fog to the forest. Suddenly there she awoke to fear. Wild beasts were near. The darkness around was filled with sounds, and she grew weak with terror. Holy Mother of God, she gasped in prayer, and as she did, she suddenly heard the sweetest sound of a tiny bird. And in a flash, she saw a splash of winging, singing color. As she saw the bird and its song she heard, her heart burst with joy and thanksgiving. Fearlessly now she followed along. Fearlessly now she followed the song, over the ridges and through the glades, across the creeks in the shifting shade. Into the day she made her way, ever deeper into the forest. They had come a long way. It was nearly midday when Tanya felt in the air something awesome and rare in the shade of the glade before her. She did not fear, yet she sensed she was near to something that must be most wondrous. So cautiously she rounded a tree and did suddenly see the cause of the spell she'd been feeling. Before her sat a holy man, a hermit monk of the forest, an elder at peace and hallowed by prayer. And before him stood a big brown bear. He turned, he smiled, and he waved her near. Then softly he asked, "Tell me why you've come here." "I've come for my brother," she quickly replied, "for he cannot stand or rise from his bed. Yet his heart is so warm, his spirit so bright, he has even learned to read and write. but as I have said, he can never, ever get out of bed. Mercy filled the old man's eyes, and crossing himself, he slowly stood up and beckoned Tanya into his hut. Tanya followed the monk into his cell, but what happened next she never could tell. She clearly remembered he knelt in prayer, so she knelt down behind him there. But as his prayers flowed on longer, echoes entered ever stronger. Echoes, no, others praying, angels, saints around him swaying. God's great kingdom gathered down, hosts of heaven circling round, choruses of swirling sound, waves of prayers, heaven bound. We've talked a bit in our family about how even though we're not able to go to church right now to pray, the churches are not empty. And when we pray, especially when we pray the liturgy, we join with the angels, the heavenly powers, and so even though there aren't very many people in the churches right now, they're not empty. Next a scent of incense swelled, a heavenly sweetness soon they smelled, and when Alyosha's name was prayed, in the cell appeared a light. The elder, the icons were shining bright, dazzling, blinding, beyond all sight. At that very moment, miles away, in the tiny village of Tanya's home, in the cottage she shared with her brother, the scent of incense began to seep, and Alyosha, alert, sat up in his bed. Then he sensed a sound with the sweetness he smelled. Somewhere near he could hear, he knew not from where. A choir was singing, was chanting a prayer. Scent and singing quickly swelled, all around him ringing. Then suddenly clear one voice drew near, and beside his bed a light grew bright, and his blinking eyes beheld the sight of a holy elder before him. No words were said as he stood by the bed, but his eyes were filled with mercy. One hand reached out to Alyosha's head, the other hand held something red. The monk was offering an apple. Shyly Alyosha accepted the treat, but as he began the fruit to eat, he sensed a tingling in his feet. Then all along his legs' whole length, he felt a growing, rising strength. He's eating an apple. Back in the forest at the end of the prayer, Tanya knew it was time to head home from there. She thanked the monk with all her heart and asked his blessing to depart. But as she turned to the forest trail, she was seized with fear and turned quite pale. "Please, Mother of God," she whispered in prayer, "please, oh please, keep me safe in there." Just then the monk said he had been thinking his bear should go too, to protect her. Oh, what a sight in the afternoon light, bird, child, and bear in the forest. Running and walking, singing and talking, they wound their way in the fading day, until far away they heard the bells, calling the village for evening prayer. Touchingly, Tanya told Misha the bear that he must not dare give his scent to the dogs of the village. So she said goodbye and heaved a sigh and patted him gently in parting. Crossing herself, she turned away, and quickly now she ran down the ridge, crossed over the bridge, and cut through the fields toward the village. This is my favorite part. The church bells were singing as Tanya passed, running fast down the lane of her village. Clucking chickens scattering flew. As she rounded a corner, there came into view the doorway of her cottage. Then her eyes grew wide in amazement. Alyosha, her brother, was standing there in answer to prayer, no longer in bed, but standing instead. As his sister he spied, "Tanya," he cried, and together they flew, tumbling out their stories. "The hermit's cell, I was there with the elder in prayer. But he was here, I saw him so clear, and he gave me the apple of healing." Then gasping for air, they both came aware that the bells had stopped their singing. At once they knew what they had to do, so hand in hand they ran to stand in the church to join in the singing. In joy and awe they gave thanks to God for the miracle of his mercy. And there he is kissing the cross. Isn't that beautiful? Can you imagine how good it felt for Alyosha to be able to go to the church and how grateful he was? That's how we're all going to feel too, isn't it? Now we're going to play a game. We usually call it my word picture, but today we're going to call it my bird picture. So I'm going to hold in my mind a bird, and we're going to see if you, from my description, can guess what kind of bird it is. So this bird has an orange tummy and thinks worms are yummy. Ella?
Robin.
A robin. All right, now it's your turn.
My bird picture is fluffy and white and barely makes any sound.
A polar bear? That's a meadowlark. It wouldn't be a swan, would it? All right.
Swan.
David, you tell us. You give us a bird picture.
My bird picture is something brown with a yellow back and a brown beak.
It wouldn't be a meadowlark, would it?
It would.
It would. All right, let's do a couple more. My bird picture can hang upside down on the trees, and he looks like he's wearing a gray suit with a black vest.
A parakeet.
Not a parakeet, a nuthatch. There's one more that I'm
A
thinking of.
chick.
A chick, yeah, that has a black hat, and he's very, very.
I know.
Who is it?
Chickadee.
A chickadee. And earlier we were playing with the chickadee, and we were having. Yep, we were having some fun with his bird song. And what were we saying, David? How were we saying it? Chickadee dee 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 dee, and then we were saying chick chick chick. Chick chick chick.
I was singing.
You were. Do it again. Dee 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 chick chick.
Chickadee.
Dee 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 dee.
Chick chick chick.
Dee dee dee.
Chick chick chick.
Dee chick.
Chick chick chickadee dee dee dee. Today is a very rainy day, right? And it's National Poetry Month, so we're going to do always some poetry. And this is called Who Likes the Rain? And it has in it a duck, a dandelion, a toad, and a little boy. So David, do you want to pretend to be a duck for us while we say the first part?
Quack, quack.
Who likes the rain? I, said the duck. I call it fun, for I have my little red rubbers on.
Quack, quack.
They make a cunning three-toed track in the soft, cool mud. Quack, quack, quack. I, cried the dandelion, I, my roots are thirsty and my buds are dry. And she lifted a tousled yellow head. Dandelions don't. Oh, that's a lion?
A dandelion.
A dandelion, yeah, a dandelion growls. I, cried the dandelion, I, my roots are thirsty and my buds are dry. And she lifted a tousled yellow head out of her green and grassy bed. Can we do the next one?
I hope 'twill pour, I hope 'twill pour.
Ribbit,
Heard
ribbit,
the
ribbit,
tree-toad
ribbit,
at his
ribbit,
gray bark
ribbit,
door.
ribbit,
For with a broad leaf for a roof,
ribbit,
I am
ribbit,
perfectly
ribbit.
weatherproof.
And this is all children everywhere. I, shouted Ted or Ella or David or even Mommy.
A teddy bear.
For I can run with my high-topped boots and raincoat on through every puddle and runlet and pool I find on the road that's cool. The little raindrops patter upon the earth today. Tap, tap, their knock is gentle, and this is what they say. Oh, little flowers, waken and open wide your door. Come out in pretty dresses, for spring it comes once more. And that's an important thing to remember when we're stuck inside on a rainy April day, that the rain will end, the sun will come out, and the flowers will bloom.
And my pear tree will grow.
And your pear tree will grow, exactly. So Art with Ella today will be drawing a turkey. Rain, it's raining. Oh my gosh! Take the video quickly, quickly, quick.
I don't see anything.
Seriously.
It's a bird.
It's a bird. No. I can't see it.
Ah, can you take it off?
No, I cannot. What's another?
There's a turkey in our yard.
There is?
Okay, as you can see, I have lost my co-hosts because they're out watching the turkey that just came for a visit. So let's close with keep looking. This house looks empty. The yard looks empty. Snow covers the ground, but there are animals here. Where are they? Sit quietly, wait patiently, and keep looking. Here comes a chickadee. It is flying to the fat hanging in an orange net on the lilac bush. A blue jay hops on the same branch. It is going after some seed in the bird feeder on the branch higher up. It screeches and chases the chickadee away. Now look down on the ground. Do you see juncos or snowbirds pecking at the seeds that the blue jay dropped? A squirrel is stealing seed from the bird feeder. Now a chipmunk pops up from its nest in the woodpile. Did it hear the squirrel? A family of bluebirds lived in this birdhouse all summer long. They went south for the winter. Who lives here now? Look, a mouse moved in. The rabbit is hiding in the raspberry bushes. It is wiggling its nose. It smells something. Can it smell a fox? It thumps and hops back to its hole. Can you wiggle your nose like a rabbit? Look at the hole in the ground. It is the entrance to the dark burrow of the woodchuck, fast asleep under the ground. For the woodchuck, it is nighttime all winter long. A heap of garter snakes are keeping one another warm at the bottom of this pile of rocks. They also sleep through the winter. What would it be like to sleep all winter long? That's a long nap. I can barely get my son to sleep for an hour. Don't think he'd want to sleep all winter long. The box turtle is sleeping. It too has found a place underground where it can escape the winter cold. Cardinals and titmice feed on the ground above. Ants have moved down from their nests to the ground to even deeper passageways where they won't freeze. They climb one on top of another to keep warm. So all the animals are finding ways to deal with the change of the seasons. Behind the stairs leading to the house, there are old, torn spider webs. When you look closely, you can see little balls hanging on the threads. They are spider eggs. They will become next year's spiders. Near the torn spider webs is a cocoon. Inside the cocoon, something is happening. A moth will hatch out in the spring. Have you ever seen cocoons? Have you ever seen cocoons and moths turning into caterpillars turning into moths? It is nighttime. The moon is shining. There is a loud noise. What could it be? The raccoons have found the garbage cans. The owl is awake. It is calling. It sounds like, "Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you?" Who cooks for you? Your mom? Your dad? Maybe you're learning how to cook now. The mouse in the birdhouse trembles. Two skunks are taking a walk. The moonshine lights up their white stripes. Whoosh! You can hear the soft flapping of wings. Is it a bird? No, most birds do not fly at night. It is a bat swooping out of the attic. If you get up early one morning, just before the sun rises, and sit patiently at the window, you may see a deer nibbling at the twigs of the maple tree. Here is the house again. How many animals can you find? So I chose this story for several reasons to share with us today. The first one is that our world has gotten smaller. Our spaces that we occupy every day have gotten smaller. And so one of the first things that we can do is to look with fresh eyes and see things just like the birdhouse became the mouse's home because the mouse said, "Oh, I can use this in this way." And so as we're stuck at home, maybe some of us even stuck inside, I encourage you to look at the world around you to see what can you use in a creative way. I know I'm saving all of the cardboard rolls that go with paper towels, And at some point, when we need something to do, we're going to cut those all up and we're going to make a marble run. If you are stuck inside and you say, well, you know, I look at the world around me and I don't see, you know, the changing of the seasons. It's one of my favorite things is to go outside and look for signs of spring. But if you can't, if you're not in a place where you can do that, you can look around you and you can look at all the different types of architecture. You can look at all the different ways cars are built, all the different ways that colors go together. There's so many wonderful things in our world that we have an opportunity to stop and to look and not to grow bored and despondent and tired, but to be challenged to look at the world in a different way, to see things differently. So that is all for today's story. Come, pause, be grateful, and to take a breath of fresh air to go forward day by day, one day at a time, as we say in the Lord's Prayer, give us this day our daily bread. And so I'm hoping that this may be dessert for your day, a fun little place to come and just be peaceful and creative. So see you next time.